Hi everyone, I just wanted to make a proposal because all of these COVID restrictions, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to a sporting event, you can't send your kids to college for the first time if they're not vaccinated or show proof of a negative test. I wanted to propose an alternate solution. But before I do that, I want to point out that as of today, there are 9.5 million COVID cases in the United States. 9.5 million. So I want you to take a few seconds and ask yourself, and seriously ask yourself and come up with a number. What percentage of those 9.5 million cases, people who currently have COVID in the United States, what percentage of those cases are considered to be serious or critical? In other words, people maybe in ICUs or emergency rooms, potentially life-threatening. What percentage of those 9.5 million active cases are serious? So seriously think about it and ask yourself and come up with a number, a percentage. Is it 10%? Is it 5%? Is it 3%? 1%? What is it? What do you think? Because I'm going to tell you that as of today, there are 9.5 million active cases of COVID in the United States, and there are 25,000 serious cases, which sounds like a lot. And granted, it's not nothing, but as a percentage, it is 0.27% of all cases. This is people who have COVID. The serious cases make up 0.27% of all COVID cases. 0.27%. That means 99.73% of people who have COVID do not have a serious case. In other words, do not really have any risk of losing their life from COVID. And that's not my speculation. Those are the official numbers as of today. So 27 people out of 10,000 who have COVID have a serious case. And by the way, that number is only going down. It has been going down since even before the vaccines were around. So that number is decreasing as we go. So 27 people out of 10,000. So just picture you get COVID and 9,999 people that also get COVID. 27 of those people will have a serious case. That doesn't mean they're going to die from COVID. That just means they require intensive care or emergency care, which is no small thing, I will grant you, but it's 27 out of 10,000. So in light of that, 0.27% of all cases in the US are serious. I have a proposal for some new COVID restrictions. So as it is right now, in many places, you have to show evidence that you've been vaccinated or that you've had a negative test. So if you hear that number, 0.27% of all COVID cases are serious, and you still think that that is a big risk, which maybe you do, and I'm not going to judge you for that. Maybe that is a big risk. Fair enough. But here's my proposal. If you think that that is a significant enough risk to ask everyone else to make sacrifices, then here's my proposal for you. How about you quit your job? How about you work from home? How about you choose to homeschool your kids and don't send them to school this year? How about you keep your 18-year-old child from going to college for the first time, even if it's online? If you're asking everyone else to make this sacrifice because this is such a big risk, why don't you assume those sacrifices? Why don't you take those hits? 0.27% of cases are serious, and yet you are still afraid of this thing, and you are asking me to provide proof of vaccination, to provide a negative test. Why don't you do that? Why don't you tell your job, no, guess what? I'm not coming in anymore. I'm going to stay home because I'm worried. Why don't you order your groceries online so you don't have to go to the store and be exposed to this dangerous virus? And some people are going to say, well, Josh, even though this virus only causes serious disease in 27 people out of 10,000, well, you might give me the virus, and then I might give it to my grandmother or my cousin who has leukemia, who's immunocompromised. Okay, fair enough. That's a valid point. Well, why don't you go get tested before you see your grandma next Sunday? Why don't you go get tested before you visit with your cousin? Why is it my responsibility to prove to you that this is not a big deal when you're the one who's worried about it? If you are so worried about this virus that causes serious disease in 0.27% of people, 95% of whom are over 50, by the way, and 95% of whom have 4 comorbidities, by the way, then why don't you make sacrifices? Why don't you stay home? Why don't you choose to work from home? Why don't you homeschool your kids? Why are you asking everyone else to be as afraid of this thing as you are? So that's my proposal. Maybe we should have restrictions based on COVID status. But if you are asking everyone else to do this because you're so afraid, then how about you assume that responsibility and you let everybody else who's not so afraid of this thing just live their life? If you are scared of me affecting you, then stay home. This thing has 99.73% chance of giving you a serious case. And if you're healthy and you're under 65, that percentage is way less. That number is all inclusive, even of the most at-risk populations. It's still 27 out of 10,000 people who get COVID will have a serious case. That includes the highest risk people who have 4 or more comorbidities and are over 65. So if you are worried about this thing, then you take the hit, you make the sacrifices, and don't ask everybody else to do it for you. So that's my proposal. I don't have anything else to say.